I'm going to show you how to use the editing tools now on the editing palette here, but firstly you need to know how to select the body parts on your figure. And using the Andy figure, you can see just by hovering over the different parts of the figure or the actors, you can see which part is being highlighted. Now you can select parts of the body by using the current actor drop-down menu here, and a list of the parts of that particular figure, all the body parts, are here. So I'll select the chest from here, and you can see that is now highlighted red as the current selection. You can also click directly on different body parts here, and they are then shown on the current actor selection here. All the different parts can be selected straight from your document window. But the first thing I'm going to do is actually delete the Andy figure. So I'll select the body to make sure it really is going to be deleted, and then I'll just click the delete key on my keyboard and just confirm that. And then I'm going to load a different figure. I'll make sure the figure library is loaded for my Poser installation. I'll come down to the Poser 8 entry here in the library, and I'm going to load Alison Casual figure. So I'll just double click on the icon there, and the Alison figure appears in my document window. Now the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to actually move the entire figure. So to do that, I just need to select the body again using the current actor drop-down menu here. And again, the red circle surrounds the body. And if I come over to the Translate Pull button here and click it, that becomes orange, highlighted, and therefore active. And if I just hover over the button and hold down the left mouse button and then move the mouse itself, the figure can be moved about the scene. At the moment, the figure will only move in the X and Y plane. I can move her up and down there. I can also drop her through the floor as well. You can see how the shadow guide is working there. It gives me some idea of where the feet will end up on the ground plane. But if I do misposition her, I can drop her down using the figure menu and the drop to floor option here, and the figure returns to the ground plane. I can also use the edit menu to restore the figure back to its original position, but that will also reset any pose and morphs that I've applied to the figure in the meantime. Now if I just come up to the face of the figure and just select the head, I'll first of all demonstrate the rotate editing tool here. Again, the button's highlighted by clicking on it, and if I now hover over the head, you can see the rotate logo is there, the rotate icon, and I can rotate the head from left to right on the X and Z plane, and I can also do the same with the neck to twist that around. Now the twist button will work purely on a Y rotation, so I can turn the head from side to side and the neck as well to make the rotation slightly more realistic. And the Translate Pull button will work then in any plane. This is a little bit less controllable, and again you can sometimes end up with unwanted effects. Now all the motions I'm making here are actually very, very gentle movements of the mouse. If I do anything a bit more violent, you can see that the neck is twisted in an unrealistic fashion, and the same with the head. It's possible to make the head spin right around, and you can see then that the mesh is just simply breaking up. So all the motions you commit to in Poser have to be very, very gentle, otherwise you'll just end up making the figure look unrealistic. So very gentle mouse movements are the order of the day really, and everything has to be done very, very slowly. Again, if you make any mistakes, the elements can easily be adjusted and put back. Now if I want finer adjustments, I can use the parameters palette here. The parameters tab is selected, and if I click on the neck section again, I can pull the sidebar down here slightly, and at the moment I want to reset the neck setting, so I can restore bend by clicking on the flyout on the right here and clicking reset. I'll do the same for the other planes as well, twist and side to side, and I'll do the same with the head. Now these options can all be reset manually here, but also I can use the dial here to get a very fine adjustment if I want one. I can dial in properties directly. I can dial in a value here if I want to. So if I wanted that to make the head face the other way, I just dial in 47 and the head turns the other way. And to reset it again, I can use the reset option here. I'll reset the other parts of the body now. Now the expression is fairly bland there. Posing not only changes position of the limbs, but it can change the appearance of the face or different parts of the body. Morphs are used to control expression, so I'll just click on the head morph entry down the bottom here. And I want head expression, so I'll click the plus button next to that, and then pull down a little bit more so I can see the face expressions. I just want to look a little bit more joyful. So I'll just hover over the dial and move the mouse to the left so that she begins to smile. Again, pushing the dial too far will give you extreme effects. There are limits set on this figure at the moment, but usually a very small amount is enough to make a noticeable difference to the figure. Now I'll come into the main view here, and I can also use the Translate Pull button to move the feet. But at the moment, something a bit strange will happen, because I have Inverse Kinematic selected. I can move the feet from side to side, but if I try and bend or twist any of the limb parts of the body, any of the legs, the thighs, or the shins, you'll see that something strange will occur. The limb doesn't appear to be bending. This is because Inverse Kinematics is turned on, and this is kind of simulating a figure standing on the ground. Once your limbs are kind of locked in position, you can't normally twist them when you're moving other parts of your body. So if you want to adjust parts of the limbs, you have to turn off Inverse Kinematics for that particular limb. So I'll come up to the figure menu, and I'll turn off the left leg Inverse Kinematics and the right leg. So then if I use the Rotate tool, I should be able to then make the limb bend. You can see the leg is now moved up behind her. Now I'll restore the figure again using the Edit menu, and you'll see then that all the changes I just made have been completely reset. Now I'll change Alison's pose slightly using some of the editing tools. I'll do some manipulation directly on the body parts now. So firstly I'll select the abdomen, and I'll use the Rotate tool to move the position slightly to make a slightly more realistic stance. Same for the chest. And I'll drop her left arm down by her side. Now you can see that the arm there is actually moving straight through the figure. You have to be careful with positioning of your limbs as well. This is why you need very gentle mouse movements. Sometimes I find it's useful to actually move the limb too far and then just gently move it back again to make sure it is in a realistic position. And I'll bend Alison's arm slightly and her neck, just using the tools directly on the figure. This is a bit like electronically manipulating a wooden lay figure. You're basically doing exactly the same thing to pose your figure. I'll use the Twist tool now to twist her arm up for a slightly more realistic appearance. And again the Rotate tool to make the arm come up into a realistic position. And I'll close in on the right hand now, because I want to change the position of the fingers slightly. I'll just move the camera position so I can see that happening. If you select the hand here and come over to the Properties palette again, there are hand controls just down the bottom here. I'll click the plus button, and then using the grasp dial I'll change the position of the fingers. I'll just make sure the hand is highlighted there, and then when I click the spread of the fingers, they're pulled in slightly. Now I'll use the camera controls to look at the left hand and make that slightly more relaxed. So again I'll click on the hand itself. I'll come down to the hand controls here. I may have to click on the hand a second time just to make sure this is going to work, and then I'll just adjust the grasp controls. I may need to click on it a third time and then make an adjustment again. There you are. The hand is now relaxing slightly. If I come back to the main camera view, I'll click on the head then, and again come down to the expression morphs, and this time I'll select Joy 2 and I'll turn the dial up there slightly more pleasing expression. So coming back to the main camera now, there is the pose set up. Any of the buttons here will affect the selected parts of your figure, and also then you can use the parameter dials to make finer adjustments if you need to.